In this recording we're going to look at visibility and scope. So we're going to look at public, private and protected properties. I'll explain each one and how they differ, and I'll explain the rules which apply to each, and we'll have practical demonstrations for each one, leaving you with complete understanding of the concepts. Before I get into that, let me inform you that I record in high resolution, so you don't need to watch on a blurry screen. Choose high definition if that works for you. Would you like to join a growing group of PHP developers and take your skills to a new level? If that sounds like you, all you need to do is subscribe and click the little notification icon. And welcome to the family. So this is how visibility works. At our most restrictive level, we have private properties and methods. They can be accessed in the defining class only. They cannot be accessed in child classes, and they cannot be accessed off object instances. Moving the scope outwards, we have protected properties and methods. They can be accessed in the defining class and subclasses only. They cannot be accessed off object instances anywhere, i.e. they can't be accessed anywhere outside of a class. Finally, our least restrictive properties and methods are public. They can be accessed in any class and anywhere in the code. So there's the schoolwork. Don't be intimidated by the theory, because the practice is where it will all make sense. And let's do that now. So I'll start off by creating a new class, and what I'll have is a file reader, which will be a parent class for readers of different types of files. For example, in this one we'll have a CSV file reader. So it's quite a common thing to have in PHP. You create a class which wraps around PHP's inbuilt functions for reading different types of files, and that's the kind of thing we're creating here. So class file reader, I'll give it one public property, and we'll go through each level. I'll demonstrate public first, protected and then private, and we'll see what is allowed and what is not allowed for each one. So we'll create just a standard PHP file, not a class, called visibility.php, and this is where we're going to have our HTML, which will display to the browser to show our values. So we'll just give it a title of visibility, and what I need to do is add my PHP tags. I need to require the file reader class, or the file reader file. So require file reader.php, and then we just need to create a new file reader. So file reader equals new file reader, and then we'll create some HTML and we'll echo out the value of the data property. So PHP tags echo and file reader, and so we're going to use the right arrow and access the data property directly, which we can do because it's a public property, and there's the rule: it can be accessed in any class and anywhere in the code. Over to the browser, visibility.php, and there we go, some random data. I'll just bump this up so you can see it. So you shouldn't have seen anything that surprised you there. Here's a little challenge for you to try out. Make this property protected and then go and test it out in the browser. What do you expect to see? Give that a go. I'll show you what happens now. So change this to protected, over to the browser, refresh, on-caught error, cannot access protected property file reader data. So because it's a protected property, we can't just access it anywhere, and PHP Storm is actually telling us this, because down in the bottom corner it's saying member has protected access. There is, however, a way that we can gain access, and we do it like this. I create a public function. I'm going to call it getData, but you can call it whatever you want, and all I'm doing is returning this data. Let's have a look at the rule. The rule is that protected can be accessed in this class and subclasses only, so we're accessing it within the class. And in order to display that to the browser, I just say file reader getData, give that a refresh, and there you go. Let's delete this now and we'll try out something else. So the rule tells us that we can access it in child classes also. Let's test that theory out. We'll create a child class and we'll call it CSV file reader. So this is a class designed for reading CSV files, and it's going to extend file reader, and because it extends file reader, it should inherit that data property, which we should be able to access. So we'll create a method called getData in this class now, and all we're going to do is return this data. So as we're extending file reader, we're going to need to require it. So require once file reader.php, And we'll just take a look at the rule again. Protected can be accessed in this class and subclasses. This is a subclass, so this should work. Let's make some changes to visibility.php. So we're using CSV file reader instead of file reader. So we'll require it, and then we'll change this to CSV file reader just to be explicit. And obviously we need to change the class to CSV file reader, and we'll change this final reference here to CSV file reader. Over to the browser, refresh, still working exactly the same. So we've proved there that you can access protected properties in subclasses. Let's change this to private now, and what do you expect would happen if we went back to the browser and refreshed? So if we look at CSV file reader, member has private access, so it's given us a warning here to tell us that it probably won't work, and there you go. But our error message is different. It told us that the property was undefined, as in the CSV file reader has no knowledge of the data property. So let's look at the rule. Cannot be accessed in child classes. They can only be accessed in the classes that define them. So that's what we'll do. Over to file reader, can be accessed in this class only. Let's test that out. So we'll go over to visibility.php and we'll just change everything back from CSV file reader to file reader. And then once we've done that, we just need to go back to the browser, and that works because we've accessed the data property in the class that defined it, and that's the only place where you can access private properties. So quick recap. Public properties and methods can be accessed in any class and anywhere in the code. Protected can be accessed in this class and subclasses only. Cannot be accessed off object instances anywhere. And private properties and methods can be accessed in this class only. Cannot be accessed in child classes and cannot be accessed off object instances, i.e. just anywhere in the code. So as always, you don't have to try and memorise this stuff because we're going to repeat it so many times that by the time we get to the intermediate stuff, this will be second nature to you anyway. Hope that you found it useful. Be sure to give it a like if so, and don't hesitate to share if you want to help others like yourself. Help each other out, that's what this channel is all about. And if you want to continue to learn PHP and other related technology with me, all you need to do is subscribe and click the little notification icon. I release new material twice a week, and details of my schedule can be found on the discussion tab of my YouTube homepage.